Hey y'all, welcome back to the Mull and Wine Podcast. I'm your host, Dawn Melissa. I can't believe this is only the second episode. It feels like the 15th. I know it sounds like I'm complaining, but that's okay because it goes with the theme of today's episode, and that is pet peeves. The psychology behind people fucking around and playing in your face, which is a major pet peeve of mine. So let's go ahead and get into it. Today's wine is a Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, which is actually my favorite Italian wine. By the way, in the first episode, I was drinking a rosé prosecco, but because I recorded that shit 4 times, I wasn't drinking in that last episode. I don't know. So that's why I sounded so sober, but that's fine. Anyway, grab yourself a drink of your choice. I actually think y'all will enjoy this episode. Personally, I think it's therapeutic to bitch and complain a little bit. If you ever saw my web series Come Wine With Me, the purpose of that show was to drink wine and complain. So I guess old habits die hard. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. A leopard never changes its spots or some shit like that. Basically, I am who I am because I am who I am. I heard Nicki Minaj say that once, so I'm going to go ahead and give her credit for it because I ain't hear nobody else say that. So that's a Nicki Minaj quote as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so what are pet peeves? I'm reading this almost verbatim, okay, the definition. Pet peeves refers to specific actions or behaviors that irritate, irk, or, straight up anger us. Usually that irritation or anger is disproportionate to the act or behavior or whatever, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes I feel like it's not enough because sometimes the actions are small, not that big a deal, but then sometimes they are a big deal, like they be egregious, but I don't have a big reaction to them because for one reason or another, I can't react strongly. One reason being I'm a Black woman. Okay, so that's what a pet peeve is. It's the reaction that you have to certain behaviors or actions. So I'm going to list off a couple of my pet peeves. And like I said, it might sound like I'm complaining. I'm okay with that because it's been a while since I've talked about my pet peeves. And, since you're drinking wine or something with me, you may as well take out a notebook and write down your own pet peeves. These aren't in any specific order. It's just what I thought of at the time. So number 1, being told that I look exactly the same after I've spent 40 minutes putting on makeup. Not to mention the amount of money that I've spent on the makeup, but the time as well. Taking time to look at makeup tutorials and, understand my facial symmetry or whatever, my bone structure. Taking time to learn how to fill in my eyebrows or contour. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still learning how to do that eyeshadow shit. Like, I don't know what it is about me and eyeshadow, but I can't get it together. Like, Anyway, all of that goes into the look. And so when somebody looks at me and says, oh, you look exactly the same, that pisses me off. That annoys me. That irks me, if you will. But yeah, I don't like that because I feel like you're fucking with me because I look different. I look like I have put effort into my appearance and you're trying to downplay that. So yeah, that's one pet peeve. And I feel like I'm not alone in that. There's a lot of women out there who know makeup, who love makeup, who put a lot of effort into their makeup. Like a makeup artist, if a makeup artist puts makeup on you and then you tell that artist, I look exactly, it don't even look like you did nothing, she would be offended or they would be offended. And you know it. Let me know if this is one of your pet peeves or if you think it's a valid pet peeve. I want to know. It's okay if you don't think it's a valid pet peeve. I mean, I don't care. But I would like to know if this is something you've ever considered or if you would understand why this pet peeve exists. Moving on. Number 2, and shout out to Black people, especially my Black girls. I know all of us can relate to this. I know this is everyone's pet peeve. But I hate when people touch my hair. Oh my God, I hate it so much. I don't feel like I could actually vocalize it as a child, but I knew something was off about it. I knew I didn't really like it, but I didn't know why I didn't like it. And I didn't know that I could speak up about it. because children don't have bodily autonomy for some reason. Things are changing now. The Gen Z parents and the younger millennial parents, well, it doesn't matter because I just don't have kids. So even another millennial my age, they aren't having it. The parents of today. My kid has bodily autonomy. If she don't want you to touch them, if they don't want you to hug them, if they don't want you to touch them in any way, that's their business and you will respect their boundaries. But when I was a child, that wasn't really the case. We had to hug our uncles even though we didn't want to. They were the adult. They were the adult. So that pissed me off. So I didn't feel like I could actually say, don't touch my hair. But as I got older, I started to feel like I could speak up for myself. It just didn't feel right. It felt really invasive. And when I went natural, it was too intimate. There's something about going natural that just intensified my disdain for people touching my hair. I'm mostly talking about white people when I say this. And Black Americans, we know the history behind this, behind white people touching our hair and how they used to yank the hair out of the scalps of our ancestors. White women made it so Black women had to cover their hair because of jealousy, all these things. So I know my hair is special. Even when it's in a protective style, even when I had that creamy crack in my head, I knew my hair was special and it was part of me. It was part of my body. But when I went natural, it was just a whole other thing. And when I say intimate too, it's like physically, if you're with your man, your partner, your lover, and they put their hands in your hair, like while y'all are getting it on or whatever, and they tug on your hair a little bit, oh, it's amazing. So I don't want to take that out of the bedroom or out of my home and let some random ass stranger with their dirty ass hand. So when I finally started to vocalize that, to say, listen, don't touch my hair or back away from them or whatever, it felt good to say no. But then I had to deal with a whole other thing from white people because they feel entitled to our bodies. That shit runs in their blood and they don't like to be told no. I'm a problem. I'm problematic because I said no, because I set a boundary. They know if I walked up to them and was like, ooh, I like the color of your hair. What number is that? And I'm just touching their hair. They know they wouldn't like it. And so it's a pet peeve of mine. It's not even a pet peeve. It's like the thing that enrages me so much that I might just lose my shit. I'm living in London, right? And I'm going to school, getting my master's degree at Regent's University. The only other people I knew and actually hung out with were a bunch of white people. And some of them were American, some of them were European, blah, blah, blah. Side note, the couple of Black people that were at the school with me wanted nothing to do with me. And one of them was an American guy. He was a gay American Black guy. And then there was a British Black girl. And from the moment she met me, she did not like me. Ooh, child, she did not like me. So they didn't want nothing to do with me. And that was fine. So I hung out with all these white folks, not feeling safe as a token Black girl, but still wanting friendship. And they were drinking buddies. I had somebody to drink with. And that was fun because, the drinking culture in England is unmatched. I love it. Oh, in the UK in general, like the drink, and in Ireland. The drinking culture is unmatched. I love it. 9 a.m. people are having a beer. So yeah, I had my drinking buddies and that was cool. But one day we're all out at a pub drinking as usual. And there was this white girl. I can't remember where she was from, but we're all tipsy. And all of a sudden she was like, oh my God, Dawn, I love your hair. And I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you. And then she goes, can I touch it? Can I just touch your hair? And I was like, no, you can't touch my hair. I know you want to say, at least she asked you. So what? Just because, okay, let me finish the story. So she says, can I touch it? Can I just touch your hair? And I'm talking like this because we were tipsy. And I say, no, you can't touch my hair. And the other girl that was with us, I guess she was our ringleader. She was kind of in charge. I'm not going to say it's just in my mind. That's how I felt. It was definitely how it was. And she goes, well, she asked. She did ask. Come on, Dawn. She did ask you. I'm trying to remember the exact tone because this was almost 10 years ago. And I'm tipsy. And I was like, well, that doesn't mean I have to say yes. And then there's this silence. a deafening silence, if you will, a loud silence. We were all tipsy a second ago, laughing and joking around. I don't know how they sobered up so quickly, but they did, and it was alarming. And everybody was staring at me. It felt cold and hostile, and I was scared for a couple different reasons. Like, I didn't feel like they were gonna physically harm me. I was afraid they were going to call me aggressive or problematic, or, the worst is when they say that you're racist. I'm racist because I don't want you to touch my hair. When they say reverse racism, that's just crazy. There's no such thing as reverse racism, by the way. But that's another thing. Anyway, this loud silence. And I don't know, I just felt the pressure. And I was like, okay, I'm giving you permission. Like, I wanted to feel like it was my decision. So I said, okay, I'll give you permission. And the temperature went back to normal, and everybody just sort of relaxed, and everything just, fell back into place. And we're all laughing and joking again, and this bitch touches my hair. I went home feeling disgusted with myself. I hated myself after that. The most recent thing that happened, and I know I'm going on, I'm waffling on, but people should hear this fucking story for my own peace of mind, for my own peace of mind, for my own mental health and well-being. Anyway, the most recent incident was Christmas time, and I'm with my husband's family, and one of the relatives, their children were fascinated by my hair. I had extensions in my hair. I had a hairstyle, and I looked gorgeous. I looked damn good, okay? The children were just fascinated. And these are the same children. I've seen them for years. They never, they would give me an awkward smile here and there, but never engaged with me. So they were fascinated by this hairstyle. And, they're looking the whole night, and I could see that they were inching closer and closer. And then at one point, they're whispering to their parents, and I knew what they were whispering. They wanted to know how to ask me how to touch my hair in English. And the parents are like, just go for it, try it. And so one of them, the bravest one, she said, well, can we touch your hair? And I thought, she's so cute. They really were working on this, like working on how to say this in English. But I stood my ground because I didn't want to, I'm not trying to set a precedent. I'm not trying to make it okay. Or I don't want this to be something like regular, So I said, no, I don't want you to touch my hair. And then I said it in Italian, in my broken Italian. No, non mi piace quando toccarmi, something like that, or I'm forgetting it now, but I don't like it. I made sure they understood. No. And, as I'm saying this to the kids, the adults are looking at me and they're nodding. They're like, okay. And I'm thinking they get it. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm thinking they see me as a fucking grown-ass woman. No. Right after I finish saying what I said, right after I finished saying no, one of the adults reaches over and she's like, oh, but yes, I love it. I love your hair. And she's just touching my hair. The rage I felt. But we're at Christmas dinner. We're in public. I'm the only black person in this entire restaurant. I can't have a strong reaction. No one's going to be on my side. People are going to be like, you overreacted, or what was the problem, blah this, blah that. So all I could do was yank my hair out of her hair and turn my back to her and not speak to her for the rest of the night. And then I could hear one of the other adults say she doesn't like people touching her hair. And then she's like, oh, I didn't hear her. Same like white women. They don't hear you. They don't see you when you're a black person. They don't hear you. They don't see you unless they want dick or they want to touch you in some way or be a Karen and antagonize you. That's what it is. That's what it is. So she didn't hear me when I clearly told her child that she couldn't touch my hair. And my husband witnessed it. I said, you saw that, right? And he's like, yeah. And he's just nodding, but you could tell he's like, keep calm, carry on. He's nodding. He's like, yeah, I saw it. That was fucked up. But his body language was, he was concerned. He thought I was going to embarrass him in public because I don't know. I've gotten to that point where I really do be cussing people out, even if they don't understand me because it's in English. I just didn't talk to that woman for the rest of the night. And every time I've seen her after that, I've been a little more reserved, kind of keeping my guard up with her and everybody at this point. I've sort of become a person who can never really relax around other people. I'm just tense in the body all the time because I never know when someone's just going to, try to touch my hair. Not just that either. Like I'm randomly living my life here in Italy and some random man will, intentionally brush up against me. I've had it'll be like a whole giant piazza with nobody in it. And then all of a sudden someone's brushing up next to me and it's some old Italian man being cheeky. And then he'll look at me like, ooh. I'm like, Sir, you are 75 years old. At your big ass age, you just shouldn't be giggling like that. At least at the very least, don't be giggling and kikiing like you're a 14-year-old who's never touched a boob before. Like, there's just something so gross about seeing a man do some shit like that and giggle. Why are you giggling? But I digress. Yeah. Oh, I went off the rails there, didn't I? Every time I think about it, because I'm like, how are you? This is an empty street. How did you end up touching me? My point is, I don't really feel like I can be relaxed in my body. I feel like I have to be alert all the time. So it's not just this woman, this family member, my husband's family member. It's not just her that I feel more reserved around. Like, I have to like keep a close eye on them and kind of keep an arm's length distance. It's not just her. And I truly don't think ill of her. I don't think she's a bad person. I don't know her very well, obviously, even after all these years being married into this family. But she's not a bad person. I'm not gonna be like, oh, she's such a this, that, and the. No, she's not a bad person. I just had to set an example. I had to kind of make an example of her. And now there's a precedent. Now there's, okay, it took Dawn long enough. Like, people are probably like, it took you long enough because you didn't say anything before. And they're right. I never said anything before. Now it's like, it's been too many years of my life that I've just not said anything. At some point, I was going to have to put my foot down. And now what? Now, look, I'm the angry Black girl. Now, somehow I'm the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, your feelings are hurt. You're embarrassed. It must be my fault. Okay. Yeah, I heard it. I got a little passionate there for a moment. I told you, I don't think that the hair touching thing is a pet peeve. I think it's a little more than a pet peeve. So let me just take it down a notch as we move on to the next pet peeve. Another pet peeve of mine is when people ask me why. If I say, I don't like mayonnaise, why? Even with the whole don't touch my hair thing, why? The other thing is, and this one might be weird, but it's like why is the kitchen light on? Why isn't the trash taken out? Why is there this little spot of dirt here? Stay with me here. But it drives me crazy because I feel like if the kitchen light is on and you don't want it on, turn it off. If you want to say, there's dirt here, can you clean it up? Say that. Don't ask me why something is the way it is instead of just telling me what it is that you want. Does that make sense? This stems from my childhood. This stems from living with my dad and him kind of looking for something to complain or bitch about. Him like literally just sort of stomping through the house, looking for an excuse to stir some shit up, because that's what he did. And so he would look around and, why is the bathroom light on? Bruh, the bathroom light is on because clearly somebody forgot to turn it off or somebody just didn't turn it off. So if you want it off, turn it off. That's what I wanted to say every time he would ask a question like that, because it's like, I am the only other person living here and also my aunt, but it's either me or her. One of us left the fucking bathroom light on, or it could have been my dad. Sometimes it'll be him. He might have done some shit. And then he'll be like, oh, well, why didn't you turn it off? Why didn't you turn off the light if you saw it was on? I hate being asked why something is the way it is when really you don't like it. You just don't like what it is. Instead of changing it yourself, you just ask stupid, pointless questions. That shit pisses me off. Again, it stems from childhood. So even as an adult, I don't like it, but because I work on my communication and I'm just like, look, you're not going to treat me like a child. I say it in my own household. I say it, in a respectful way. Listen, if you don't like that light being on, from now on, just turn it off. Just turn it off. Or you could say, hey, Dawn, remember to turn the light off if you're not going to be in the room for a while. Like, don't talk to me like I'm a child. And I say, I communicate that shit now, but that problem is here because of the childhood experiences. So shout out to my dad. But the other thing is like, I don't like mayonnaise. Why don't you like mayonnaise? I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it didn't start to bother me until I moved to Italy. Actually, no one has ever asked me why I don't like mayonnaise until I moved to Italy. At one point, I got so tired of people asking me why I don't eat mayonnaise. I had to make up an entire story, for people to understand it. And it was such a bullshit story too. Like, I think I said something like I was eating Burger King and I'm taking this giant bite out of my delicious burger and I feel this glob of mayonnaise slip out of the bun and it kind of like falls onto my hand. And I look at my hand ready to lick the mayonnaise off and I see there's a maggot in there. And I'm like, freaking out, and I've never eaten mayonnaise again. Literally, I had to be a writer, be creative on the spot, make up a fucking story about not liking mayonnaise to get people to stop asking me why I don't like mayonnaise. Don't ask me why. Why can't I touch your hair? Why can't we have sex? The why after I've said no to something or I've stated a fact drives me crazy. You tell me, why do I have to explain myself to you as a grown adult? Why do I have to walk around talking about because I said so to another fucking adult? Like, you are not a toddler, bro. I shouldn't have to say because I said so. That's the feeling I get when someone says why. Like, Mom, why is the sky blue? Like, you're a child asking me these questions because that's what children do. Stop asking me why. Just accept what I've said and move the fuck on. That's how I feel. That's just me. I listed 5 pet peeves here, but I might have to trim this down a bit. The one pet peeve that I had to list here is very, very important to me. I hate when people are passive aggressive or dishonest about their intentions. For example, if they don't want to meet up, if they don't want to hang out with you or whatever, instead of just saying they don't want to do something or they're not up for it, they bullshit you. They'll be like, oh, I forgot to call you. Or, why didn't you call me? I thought you were going to call me. Or, oh, I didn't see your text message. Oh my God, the phone thing. The phone excuses piss me off the most because it's like, that phone is glued to your fucking hand. And if you're telling me it's not, you're a fucking liar. The phone excuses. Maybe that's a whole pet peeve in itself. But yeah, when people are like, oh, I didn't see my phone. I didn't hear my phone. I didn't see your message. Oh, I forgot to call you. Or why didn't you call me? Like, the phone excuses piss me off. Technology today, we are addicted to our phones. Those phones are glued to our hands. Or they'll just make up something entirely and say they already have plans, not realizing we have the same mutuals and that I'm actually with that mutual when they message them begging to join their event last minute after rudely blowing me off. Just be honest and say you don't fuck with me. But some people need that ego stroke. You know what I'm saying? Some people need to feel wanted, or I don't know what it was, but please just say you don't fuck with me and I won't bother you ever again. Okay? Anyway, that's more embarrassing for you than me. I remember I had this friend in high school, and one night, it was a Friday night, we're on the phone and we're like, oh, we should do something. We should go out. It's Friday night. And I'm like, yeah, what do you want to do? She's like, I'm feeling like a movie. Maybe we could go to a movie. And I say, that sounds fun. She says, okay, I'm going to call you back and, we'll sort it out. An hour or so passes. I don't hear from her. So I message her and I say, hey, what's up? And she says, oh, no, my mom says I can't go out. And me being my gullible self, I believed her. And I'm like, okay, so see you soon then, We didn't go to the same school, so I didn't know when I would see her. So I was just like, see you soon. We hang up. And oddly enough, this was the night that my dad actually took interest in me. Like, it was so weird. He's like, you're not going out? It's Friday night. And I said, no, I don't have plans. So he randomly invites me to a movie. We never hang out. I said, okay, Dad, let's go to a movie. And we went to go see a movie. I wish I could remember the name of the movie. We get to the movie theater and we're at the concession stand about to buy some snacks. And I look over and I see the girl. And she's with some boy. And we kind of lock eyes for a split second. And she immediately grabs his hand and runs off. I had to pretend not to see her and keep my facial expression neutral because I didn't want my dad to know what had happened. I don't remember speaking to her after that. Not until we both went to college and we randomly said hi on Messenger. That was it. Nothing after that. But it's like I said, just be honest. You don't fuck with me, you don't fuck with me. You'd rather go on a date with a boy? Say that. Just say that. I don't like the excuses, the passive aggressive bullshit. Like, it's just not cute. But people power trip, they need their ego stroked. I'm guessing at this point, because I'm no psychologist or psychiatrist. I don't know. I don't know for sure. It's just the feeling that I have. I wish there was a better way to explain it. So now that I have shared my pet peeves, I've basically opened myself up to the possibility of someone doing the exact thing that I said I hate. Of someone telling me that I look exactly the same after putting on makeup, or asking to touch my hair, or just simply touching my hair. I have opened myself up to that, left myself vulnerable. And I'm not saying that just to be negative. I'm saying it because this has actually happened to me multiple times, multiple times, to the point where I would think to myself, there's got to be a psychological study on this. There's got to be a reason why people behave in this way. It's intentional, definitely. It's done to antagonize you or piss you off, but it feels like a switch. Like when a Black woman tries to defend herself or vocalizes her opinion, automatically she's aggressive. Like white people, you're aggressive. You're outspoken. You're this, you're that, and the other. Just this automatic response that white people have to Black people saying anything or defending themselves in any way, especially Black women. That's what it feels like. So I looked it up. I asked ChatGPT if there is a psychological study on this shit. And it turns out there has been some kind of study. ChatGPT broke it down for me. According to ChatGPT, there have been psychological studies and articles that delve into behaviors where individuals intentionally do things to anger others or act oppositely after being informed of their preferences. These behaviors are often linked to psychological concepts such as reactance, passive aggressiveness. Ooh, I love that word, spite. I hate when people do things out of spite, but it's such a good word, isn't it? Spite. You're being spiteful. So, example studies. The reactance theory. Definition. Reactance is a psychological response where people do the opposite of what they are told to reassert their sense of freedom and autonomy. Oh my God, that's crazy. So I set a boundary. I want my freedom and my autonomy. And according to the reactance theory, people do the exact opposite of what I want to reassert their freedom and autonomy. That's crazy. That's why I'm sorry. Your brain is psychologically your brain is mush. If that's how your brain works, then you have porridge for brains. Seriously, I assert myself. I set a boundary. I want freedom and bodily autonomy. And I'm honest about that. I don't want to be touched. And you, in an effort to, reassert your freedom and your bodily autonomy, you do the exact opposite. That's crazy. This can occur when someone perceives their choices or freedoms are being restricted. So I guess that explains why white people freak out if you tell them no. And it also explains why white people are so determined to say the N word. Aside from racism, they don't want to be told no, and the fact that we don't like the N word triggers the reactance theory in them, I guess. It makes sense why these white folks be like freedom of speech. They feel like their freedom is being restricted when you tell them, hey, don't say the N word. It's racist. Like I said, porridge for brains. And if you are a racist, yeah, that's what I think of you anyway. A classic study by Brehm in 1966 showed that when individuals felt their choices were restricted, they were more likely to choose the restricted option to regain a sense of control. If someone is told not to do something, they may do it specifically to resist the control being exerted over them. Don't hug me. Okay, that person feels like they feel like control is being exerted over them. Don't hug me. Oh no. You don't control me. I'm hugging you. Wow. Some bullshit. The next thing is passive aggressive behavior. I think we all can be passive aggressive at times. For some people, it's just their entire personality. It's who they are. But for the rest of us, occasionally we are passive aggressive. Those of us on a personal growth journey, we try to recognize that passive aggressive behavior, and we take accountability for it, and we try to check it. Like if I get passive aggressive with my husband, I'll come back and be like, okay, that was passive aggressive of me, or I was gaslighting you, because we're all fallible. We all make mistakes. But I have found that now that I go to therapy and now that now that I'm on this healing journey and I just want to grow and be a better person, I found that I have been taking more accountability for my actions, being passive aggressive, gaslighting, all that shit. I try to do unto others as I want them to do unto me. Like, I don't always get that in return. Most times I don't get it in return, but I know that I can sleep better at night knowing that I don't want to be passive aggressive and I don't want to gaslight anyone. Some of that comes from me being a recovering people pleaser. But apparently, people pleasers are manipulative. And I say, if you think people pleasers are manipulative, I say go fuck yourself. It's not true. Unless you think it's a bad thing to manipulate someone into not causing you bodily harm, which is what a lot of people pleasing stems from: childhood abuse or domestic violence, all that kind of shit. A lot of that stems from that trauma. But okay. Anyway, yeah, sometimes me checking myself and being overly apologetic for the times that I am passive aggressive or that I gaslight someone, sometimes me checking myself and being over apologetic for that stems from the fact that I'm a recovering people pleaser. But at least I'm not a sociopath. So, an example of passive aggressive behavior, not that you need one, I'm sure you can think of one on your own, but an example would be a person might intentionally not do a chore that they were asked to do as a way of expressing their resentment. Okay, that was easy. And the last one, spiteful behavior. Spite involves actions intended to harm someone else, even if it comes at a personal cost. This behavior is often driven by feelings of resentment or a desire for revenge. Also, like, cut your nose to spite your face, or if you're going to get revenge, dig two graves. I don't remember these exact quotes, but something along those lines. There's a study titled Spite and Development by Peter Blake and Catherine McAuliffe, 2011, examines how spiteful behavior develops and is exhibited in different contexts. They found that spiteful actions could be motivated by a desire to enforce social norms or retaliate against perceived unfairness. Again, that's some bullshit. It's very real, but it's real bullshit. Someone might deliberately engage in an activity they know annoys another person simply out of spite. Okay, so they all relate. I get it. This just confirms what I thought. I just didn't know how to articulate it, and I also didn't know that it was really a huge study. Like, I should have looked this up sooner. I should have looked up these studies and these articles sooner, cuz then maybe I would have had a better understanding. And knowing that it's an actual psychological condition, I might have been able to control my reactions better, I might have been able to deal with it better, and not get so frustrated. I might have been able to prevent these people from getting under my skin. These are people who are resentful or feel like they're losing control and they just want to reassert their freedom and their bodily autonomy, or they harbor some resentment toward me. Okay, now I have a better understanding of this psychological condition, I suppose. And the passive aggressiveness is also a part of that, I guess. The passive aggressiveness is, related to the resentment. So with that part, I might want to look on my actions as well, what I might have done to cause that resentment. Like, if someone doesn't want to hang out with me, maybe I've done something in the past. It's entirely possible. When it comes to that sort of thing, it's probably more of a gray area. It's like sometimes people really just want to get their lick back. Or they feel like I really did something to wrong them. I really mistreated them in some way. And instead of talking to me about it directly and clearing the air, they just decide to, I don't know, give me the same energy, maybe. I guess that's what they think they're doing, matching energy. Matching energy. it's it's scary though. It is a little bit more intimidating to approach someone and clear the air. Like, I would want to clear the air and maybe call someone out in a respectful way, but I would be afraid to. It leaves you in a vulnerable position. It does open up the possibility of there being an altercation, and I hate those. I hate altercations and confrontations. So I'm hesitant to do that as well. I'm guilty of that. Maybe that's why I feel like passive aggressiveness is the easiest behavior to let slide, because we all do it. We all partake in it. Still, we should do better. Understanding how pet peeves can trigger these psychological behaviors can be useful in both personal and professional relationships. 100% agree. Being aware of this can help. So I need to be aware of how my pet peeves might trigger other people's psychological behaviors. That feels so backwards, and it doesn't exactly help my people-pleasing tendencies, does it? In fact, it exacerbates them. I have to be aware of your feelings before I can express my own. I have to care more about your feelings than my own. That feels so backwards and fucked up. Or maybe I'm thinking about it in the wrong way. Somebody let me know. I don't know. But it feels real backwards to me. Even if it does feel a little bit fucked up, there has to be give and take, I suppose. We do have to manage these situations and find a way to work it out. Otherwise, we'll just be like ending friendships or relationships for no reason, or we'll constantly be butting heads with people. And that's no way to live. That's too stressful. So, improving communication. We got to address issues and being empathetic. I feel like being empathetic is my strong suit. My communication tends to include empathy, you know? I just have to work on being able to confront things or address things more, because that is the thing that holds me back, being afraid to address things. But I do feel like I communicate empathetically. And the more empathetic we are, the more we can avoid passive aggressive or spiteful responses. I'll be more aware of that. I'll take that into consideration more. We can also reduce conflict by framing our requests in a way that doesn't provoke resistance. Okay, well, I mean, that sounds like a real white way of dealing with things. It sounds familiar too, doesn't it? When white people say, we would listen to Black people if they weren't so mean to us. We want to be allies and to learn, but there's a way to speak to people. Maybe more people would be willing to listen and help if you said things in a nicer way. It's giving white fragility and that need to tone police. But okay, I'll try it. Hey, white girl. Hey, sister. I trust you're having a delightful day. I'm reaching out with a teeny tiny request, one that I hope you'll find just as sweet as it is sincere. I've noticed that my hair seems to have caught your kind attention, and I must say I'm quite tickled by this. It's truly a compliment that something so personal to me has become a point of interest. However, I must share a little wish of mine with all the gentleness in my heart. Would you be so kind as to consider not touching my hair? I ask this with the softest of intentions, hoping to preserve the little bubble that keeps me feeling like myself. It's a small thing, but it means the world to me. I'm ever so sorry to bother you with this, and I hope it doesn't cause any inconvenience. Your understanding means more to me than I can express, and I'm deeply grateful for the respect you show towards my feelings. With the warmest of regards and a heart full of thanks, yours, Dawn Melissa. Did it work? Is it working? Are y'all less inclined to touch my hair without my permission, or, ask me why I don't want you to touch my... Does my tone make you feel like you still have your autonomy and your freedom? Does my tone of asking you for my bodily autonomy and freedom, is it making you feel like, oh yeah, I'm in control because of her tone? Somebody let me know, okay? Because I could try harder. I could do better. I want friendship. I want people to like me. But I also want to be respected. And I've finally gotten to that point where I feel like I shouldn't have to shrink myself. And I shouldn't have to walk on eggshells around people just to be seen as this great, fantastic person. I am great and fantastic. If you don't see it on your own, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to be like, okay, do whatever you want. Treat me any old kind of way. Just like me. Just be my